My name is Flynn, and I volunteered to be here today because volunteers in America saved my life. It helped me get my life back on track. I had a script I was going to read, but it's just too much for me to read. I'm just going to... Well, I was born here, and my mother took me to Washington shortly thereafter. I have a little brother and a little sister that's 4 and 5 years younger than me. And my mother was a heroin addict, and she was a prostitute. I didn't know who my father was, so raising 3 kids and being a heroin addict, it was kind of chaotic. As far back as I can remember, CPS was involved with us. They'd come get us, she'd get clean, get us, then they'd take us away and give us back. And when I was about 9 years old, they came and got us for good. And it was just a downward spiral for me. I acted out, I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just know I missed my mother. And it was real hard for me. Even CPS, they tried to do a lot for me. And I just didn't want it to happen. I was just real rebellious. I hated everybody, I hated the world. And when I was 12 years old, I was pretty big for my age. I started running away. And I found out through a friend of my mother's that she was in Reno, Nevada. So I got a Greyhound ticket, went out to live with her. And that lasted about like 2-3 weeks. And she just disappeared. And the lady there tried to call CPS, but I didn't want to. I left her on the streets. I met some friends, and I didn't want to I didn't want to have anything to do with foster care if I couldn't be with my mother. And well, it didn't last long. Police got me, and they sent me back to Washington. And from 12 to 17, it was the same thing. I didn't want to listen to nobody. I didn't want help from anybody. And in and out of jail, and in juvie. And when I was 17, I got out of juvie after running away, and I found out that my mother was actually clean, and she was here back in the Bay Area. And that she loved me, she was sorry, and she wanted me to come be with her. So I was excited, like me, chasing my mother. I went to go be with her. She was actually doing pretty well, and she had actually got her life together. But I was so messed up inside of me. My life still was messed up. And I remember when I got to the Greyhound, she was bald because she had a benign tumor in her brain that they had to take out. So she went through chemo, and it left her partly blind. And I thought I was real happy to see her, but I was so resentful. I couldn't look her in her eye. Because I was so upset. She made me, my brother, and my sister complete strangers. They split us apart, and I went years without seeing them. And so I couldn't get along with her. So at 17, I left, and I just Bay Area just took to the streets. Drugs, alcohol, just committing crimes here and there, and in and out of jail. Till I was 21, and I was driving in a stolen car, and I ran from the police. I didn't really even know how to drive because I never had a license. I was just always on the run my whole life. And I wrecked it, damaged a lot of property. Thank God no one was hurt. It was the last straw for him, so I ended up doing 4 years in prison. I got out in 2010 when I was 25. They gave me $200 at the gate, and it just didn't seem real hopeful. I went and saw my parole officer, and saw him one time, and then just went back on the streets doing the same thing. 3 months go by, and I figure I got a parole warrant. I haven't checked in and nothing like that, but I'm homeless. I'm living from friend to friend. I'm outside, and for me at the time, that was okay for me. I just didn't want to be where anybody was telling me what to do. I just wanted to live my own life. And one day I'm in Hayward, and I'm walking over a little overpass. My hat flies off into a little embankment into a ditch. And I remember crawling down there to grab my hat and slipping down the empty canal bank. I broke my ankle, and it took me about 20 minutes to get up from that. So here I am homeless with a broken ankle. I had to go to the hospital, got a cast. That same night, I'm at the bus stop, and with a cast on, and life can't get no worse. The police jammed me up that night, and I was actually almost happy, because I figured, hey, this will give me time to rest and get my life straight and start again. Turns out I didn't have a warrant. You know, so they said they couldn't do that. So I'm waiting for them to take me to jail. They didn't. I think that was just a sign for me. I hit rock bottom. I didn't want no more. So what I did was, I called my parole officer the next morning. Was in tears. Just told him I'll do anything. I just didn't want that life no more. And he sent me to Volunteers of America. And it's funny because the second I got there, it was just, I got my social security card, I got my ID, I got set up in a GED program. There was great case managers there for me. Melvin was one of my case managers, and he really took me aside, and he knew I was going through some personal issues, but he didn't judge me, and he always told me to always keep my head up, keep a good attitude, because your attitude will determine your altitude. And I got my GED, my foot healed. They got me into, the job developer got me into a thing called Cruise Base. I know you guys seen it. So, it was a job. I was making some money, and I was feeling good about myself. But there was still a void there. It was, my siblings. And Melvin, I told him I hadn't seen him in a long time, and Melvin helped me get in touch with my brother and sister. And after 10 years, we talked. And then I thought they was gonna be mad at me, but they missed me as much as I missed them. And just after I spoke with them and they got back in my life, that was a real turning point. That really just made me want to just make something right, it didn't happen before, but it took 25 years, but I have them back in my life, so I didn't want to let them down, and I didn't want to let VOA down, so. I stayed working with Crew Base till it ended. I got a job at a moving company, and after a year at the VOA, I got Client of the Year there. And I left there. I saved some money, and I left and went and got my own place. I was making $9 an hour. And it was a struggle, but it was a good struggle. I was paying for my stuff. It was hard, but once again, a blessing happened. Melvin gave me a call 6 months after I moved out. I'm doing fine, and asked me if you want to get me in a program called ADO for affordable housing, because he knew I was struggling. And it was hard gas. Even after working and all that, it was hard gas, man. I could pay the bills, but I either pay this bill or don't have no gas. So it was real hard, but I did it. I got into affordable housing, and that made me start thinking I wasn't stressed no more. So instead of working for a moving company, I saved some money and I bought my own commercial truck, and I started my own moving company. I had my brother and my sister back in my life. Me and my mother were getting along, and I speak with VOA all the time. Jesse Graham, Kim, Gary Flores, Melvin. He passed away a couple years ago. I wish he was there to see me now. I know he'd be real proud. And it's crazy because I thought when I go into VOA, I thought they was just like my parole officer. I thought they was all against me. And I really realized that they was there for me better than anybody who was ever on the streets. Thank you.